A homeless encampment along the railroad tracks near Seneca Road is home to a man's self-built tiny home. And while it provides shelter, it might not meet the standard for housing. I took a look inside. Todd, a Eugene native, has been unhoused since 2007, and he's now living in a tiny home he built himself. The only catch, it resides on Union Pacific Railroad property.
I just got tired of it. You know, I wanted to be able to hang something up.
Growing up, his father taught him about landscaping and construction.
I spent a lot of time just salvaging stuff, you know, and then packing it on my bike and cart, you know, a little bit at a time.
Along the tracks are his friends and neighbors living in community. According to Community Supported Shelters, a nonprofit that provides individual Conestoga huts in a village model community, individual and group shelters serve different segments of the homeless population. According to the Lane County dashboard, at least 3,532 people were unhoused in March. 68% of those counted were unsheltered. Individual shelter requires a certain level of independence and ability to manage one's affairs. While group shelters meet an immediate need for shelter and on-site wraparound services, clients also deal with the lack of privacy and autonomy.
They're very institutionalized. They're meant to meet a large need quickly.
Why would someone want to build their own home rather than gain shelter from an organization or city program? There is no easy answer.
I think it's in all of us to want to provide for ourselves, to care for ourselves and have that independence. So there's many motivations, but I think before we can even talk motivations in our community, it's about accessibility to shelter. What we're experiencing oftentimes are people trying to meet their needs for shelter, water, and a safe place.
Todd's tiny home resembles an ADU, accessory dwelling unit, which the city must approve on private and public property. Eugene's land use code requirements include incredibly specific measurements for things like walkways and front yards. ADUs also must adhere to fire codes, electrical codes, and height limitations. Eugene's land use supervisor says these codes are needed to prioritize the safety and well-being for residents and their neighbors.
People won't be at risk if there is a situation where a natural hazard or a fire comes through an area. They're going to be much more protected and they're going to be much safer.
We asked Union Pacific Railroad if they're aware of the camp and the tiny home. In a statement to our newsroom, they didn't acknowledge the camp or give any answers about how or when they plan to address the makeshift home. Days before January's ice storm, Eugene police issued trespassing citations to 9 people at Seneca Camp. Eugene police says they were asked by Union Pacific to enforce trespassing laws when they visited the encampment. For now, Todd lives a life of dignity and freedom.
There's a certain part of the world that's put behind me that I don't have to deal with anymore.
But also worries about exactly how long he'll be allowed to stay there. He plans to remain in his home for the foreseeable future. In Eugene, Tiffany Lewis reporting. And I'll continue to check in on Todd and provide an update on any developments with Union Pacific or Eugene Police.